My beautiful people, welcome back to SJ Creates. Today we have a quick weave tutorial. Super easy, super simple to do. I am a big encourager of doing your own hair and I take the risk. So today I achieved this effortless look. I'm so shocked at how it came out. I think I surprised myself with the skills, but I feel like if I can do it, you can do it. And so today will be a quick weave tutorial. Very quickly, I'll show you how to achieve this look. And as always, make sure you subscribe, you like, you share. If you like what you see, girl, I'm your girl. I think I should be taking bookings. But without further ado, let's get straight into this video. Period. In the next clip, I'm basically gonna show you the products that I used. Don't mind me, I'm just enjoying my hair, but I used a local glue that you can use for your eyelashes, and then I used a spray that you can cover the tracks with. So when you spray that spray, it covers the tracks with like a blackish ink or a dye. And then obviously the star of the show, I used actual synthetic hair. So this is not human hair, it's synthetic hair. I'm a big believer of being a babe on a budget, and so I'm very budget friendly. All these products you can get at your local beauty shop, and then obviously a comb and a scissor will do the trick for the rest of the hairstyle. But it's really simple, it's really easy. You are just the only person that you need, and these few products. Anyways, not to waste any time, let's get back into this video. So in this part of the video, we actually get into how I apply the quick weave. So what you guys didn't see is I did half of my head offline, so off camera, and basically the process that you're gonna see now is what I did. But just to give you a bit of insight to what happened, I basically I cornrowed my hair into rows, and then I used a wig cap and placed it on top of my head. Right after that, I used a I stitched the wig cap to the cornrows to make sure that it sticks onto my head and it doesn't move. I'm sure you guys can watch videos on YouTube about this. Then, as you can see here, I have the hair in my hands, and basically what I try to do is I see where the lines have to go. I see the space that I have to fill. As you can see, most of the hair is already on my head, so I just have that small space to go. Also, if you have any advice for someone like me who's just trying something new and trying it out, as you can see, I really enjoyed this hair. But if you have any advice for someone like me who's quite new to quick weaves and I'm just trying it out, as you can see in the front of my head, I have a bit of cornrows left out. It did give me an amazing facelift. I look like a brand new person, but it did kind of stick out in the front, so I don't know how to correct that quite yet. The hair was extremely shiny, very flowy, very nice to work with. I felt like a girl, but ultimately I would use the hair and I would kind of measure the amount of hair that I had to glue onto the wig cap. And so here and in the few clips that will come in the previous or in the next section, basically I will just keep on measuring out these sections of hair, then use the glue, put it on the track, and then eventually put the track on my head where the wig cap has a space. As you can see, I'm showing it to you perfectly here. And so I'll just continue doing this process until I have completely filled the space, so there's no more wig cap in to show, or you don't see any more of the wig cap. And then I'll just go in with my scissors, go in with the glue, repeat the process, and eventually we'll end up with no wig cap and a perfect, so surprised, actually I had a perfect middle path, and it wasn't as obvious as I thought it would be. However, again, if anyone has any advice on how to cover up the front when you do a quick weave, I'm still figuring that out. I'm not 100% sure yet how to do it, but obviously any advice would be so much appreciated. But let's get into the section, because it perfectly describes and perfectly shows what I'll be doing for the rest of the video until we get to the cutting part, which is for later. Okay, so it's just me popping back in. As you can see, I'm actually now at the stage where I'm applying the glue onto the wig cap or onto the track, the hair track. And so basically, everything I explained in the previous voice note is actually being executed at this point. It doesn't take that long, but I do take my time just to make sure that I get all the glue on every single part of the track, because after this, the lace will go onto the wig cap, or the hair will go onto the wig cap. If you continue watching, you will understand completely what I mean. It's me again, and we are finally at the part where the hair is getting to an end, or at least the wig cap is finally disappearing. And so I tried to do something here because I wanted to cover the hair sticking out in the front. So I tried to make like almost like a manual cover up from the wig, from the hair, but I ended up using the straight track. As you can see here, I thought it just looked better and I preferred it. But yeah, this is the point where we finally get to the end, and I was so ready to be done, because it took some time from yesterday to today. However, this is the last part and we are getting ready to cover up the entire track. Again, if you have any advice for someone like me to cover up that front part, please, I'm your girl, please help me out. But for now, we are finally done with the tracks on the head.
all sizes use big queries to uncover new insight. Join us and create your account today. Now, I think it probably goes without saying that Dr. Roman Chatterjee has been on my dream guest list for this podcast for years. He is one of the most influential doctors in the UK, having practiced for over 20 years and dedicated his career to how we can improve our health and our happiness before we need to head to the doctor's surgery. He's the author of 5 Sunday Times best-selling books about happiness and productivity, and over 1 million people listen to his podcast every week. I'll be honest, going into this recording, my aim was to get as much actionable advice for you as possible, and he really was just full of wisdom, so make sure you listen right to the end so that you don't miss anything. I learned a lot. And as always, please do like and subscribe, or go ahead and rate the podcast. It really, really helps us be able to get incredible guests like Roman. So thank you so much for joining me.
Great, thank you for having me.
I'm very excited for this conversation. You have been one of my top wish list guests to get on this podcast.
I feel very flattered. I hope I don't disappoint.
I'm sure you will not. I want to go straight into it, and what we always do at the beginning of every episode is get a little bit of a rundown of your career, your background, so that we can know a little bit more about how you got to where you are today, but also the background that you come to today, your current point of view with. So could you give me a little whistle-stop tour of your career?
Okay, big picture. I am a qualified medical doctor, qualified from Edinburgh Medical School in 2001, so I've been practicing and seeing patients for well over 20 years now, so I've seen tens of thousands of patients. I've always had a slight frustration within medicine if I look back, especially in the early years, because I felt a lot of the time we were just suppressing symptoms and not helping people get to the root cause of what was going on. And I only realised that discontent with hindsight. So essentially a couple of things happened in my life quite pivotally, which changed the way I practiced medicine. One was my father, who was also a doctor. He fell ill back in 1998. So he had to medically retire. He had an autoimmune disease called lupus. He had chronic kidney failure. He was on dialysis for 15 years. And I moved back from University of Edinburgh to help my family look after my dad. So I was a pretty full carer for a number of years for dad until dad died in 2013. So that taught me a lot about what it's like to be on the other side. You know, not the doctor, but the patient's family, and what it's like when you're not getting the medical care perhaps that you want, or you've got questions. But also my son, when he was 6 months old back in 2010, he had a convulsion from which he nearly died. And it was a very, very scary time for my wife and I. We were on holiday in France when it happened. And essentially, he nearly died from a fully preventable vitamin deficiency. That's a long story, but in essence, modern medicine saved his life. But then he was discharged, and there was no help given, there was no support given, there was nothing to explain what are the implications of this. He basically had a severe vitamin D deficiency, and then the calcium levels in his blood had fallen. And essentially, I was consumed with guilt. I have perfectionist tendencies myself for much of my life. And I felt I let my son down. And I remember we were discharged from the hospital, and I made myself a vow that day that I'm going to get my son back to full health as if this had never happened. So I became obsessed. I've been reading every single day, every night about vitamin D, calcium, the gut microbiome. I'd go around the world, I'd attend conferences, and I basically learned that there's so much information out there that we don't learn at medical school that is highly relevant, not only for my son, but also my patients. So basically what I've learned in that journey to get my son better, and to be really clear, he's a happy, thriving 13-year-old boy today, okay? What I learned on that journey, I applied with myself, I applied with my family, and then I applied with my patients. And what I learned is that I started to use less medication than I'd ever had to use in the past, and I was getting patients much, much better. And so for me, it was really quite transformative. It was about how do you get to the root cause of a patient's problem, rather than simply suppress their symptoms with medication. Please, I don't want anyone to misunderstand and say I'm anti-medication. I'm not. But I do think we overuse medication. And I think there's many reasons for that. So essentially, as part of that journey in 2015, I created a primetime BBC One series called Doctor in the House, where I went and lived alongside families who had been unwell for years, and who were already under GPs and specialists, but they couldn't get better. I recorded 2 seasons of that, 2015 and 2017, and I basically managed to help families in just 6 weeks either get significantly better or fully reverse their conditions, whether it be type 2 diabetes, panic attacks down by 70% in just 6 weeks. I helped a lady who had fibromyalgia for 10 years become pain-free in 6 weeks. I helped another lady who had really bad hormonal symptoms, menopausal symptoms that were scoring 15 out of 17. on the British Menopausal Society Symptom Questionnaire, and it just simply, without using hormones, I'm not against the use of hormones, but with this lady, without using hormones, by helping her make changes to her lifestyle and the way she perceives stress, we got her symptoms down to only scoring 2 out of 17. So for me, it was a really massive, at that point, the biggest achievement of my career, no question, was to show this to 5 million people each week on BBC One, the power of lifestyle change if you know what you're doing. And that journey has led to me writing 5 books. I've been hosting my own podcast for the last 6 years, which I'm very fortunate. It's the most listened to health podcast in Europe now. And I just love what I get to do these days, which is help inspire people, help to empower people. And basically say, listen, go help this cause as hard as you think it is. We will be massive. And my goal with everything I do in public is to help simplify it.
I mean, that's incredible. First of all, I think that it's a hugely important topic to talk about. I think that as you say, right, you're saved by not wanting to talk down on medicine. However, I do completely see how we had a physiologist on the podcast a while ago, right back at the beginning, who talked really interestingly about the epigenetic, the way that it's obviously set up to fix things that are wrong, rather than to make anything that's like, okay, get to right, which is really self-reinforcing about the fact that, we do have this mentality of kind of fixing, but we don't have this mentality of kind of prevention anyway. And that's obviously all of our work in the past. Fantastic, really good service. Join us and create your account today. Now, I think it probably goes without saying that Dr. Raman Chatterjee has been on my dream guest list for this podcast for years. He is one of the most influential doctors in the UK, having practiced for over 20 years and dedicated his career to how we can improve our health and our happiness before we need to head to the doctor's surgery. He's the author of 5 Sunday Times best-selling books about happiness and productivity, and over 1 million people listen to his podcast every week. I'll be honest, going into this recording, my aim was to get as much actionable advice for you as possible, and he really was just full of wisdom. So make sure you listen right to the end so that you don't miss anything. I learned a lot. And as always, please do like and subscribe, or go ahead and rate the podcast. It really, really helps us be able to get incredible guests like Raman. So thank you so much for joining me.
Great, thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to this conversation. You have been one of my top wish list guests to get on this podcast.
I feel very flattered. I hope I don't disappoint.
I'm sure you will not. I want to go straight into it, and what we always do at the beginning of every episode is get a little bit of a rundown of your career, your background, so that we can know a little bit more about how you got to where you are today, but also the background that you come to today and your current point of view with. So could you give me a little whistle-stop tour of your career?
Okay, big picture. I am a qualified medical doctor, qualified from Edinburgh Medical School in 2001. So I've been practicing and seeing patients for well over 20 years now. So I've seen tens of thousands of patients. I've always had a slight frustration in medicine if I look back, especially in the early years, because I felt a lot of the time we were just suppressing symptoms and not helping people get to the root cause of what was going on. And I only realised that discontent with hindsight. So essentially a couple of things happened in my life, quite pivotal, which changed the way I practiced medicine. One was my father, who was also a doctor. He fell ill back in 1998. So we had to medically retire. He had it's like to be on the other side, not the doctor, but the patient's family, what it's like when you're not getting the medical care perhaps that you want, or you've got questions. But also my son, when he was 6 months old back in 2010, he had a convulsion from which he nearly died. And it was a very, very scary time for my wife and I. We were on holiday in France when it happened. And essentially, he nearly died from a fully preventable vitamin deficiency. It's a long story, but in essence, what it basically saved his life. He was discharged. Symptom questionnaire, and it just simply without using hormones. I'm not against the use of hormones, but with this lady, without using hormones, by helping her make changes to her lifestyle and the way she perceives stress, we got her symptoms down to only scoring 2 out of 17. So for me, it was a really massive. At that point, the biggest achievement of my career, no question, was to show this to 5 million people each week previously won.
So in the following few clips, you'll just see me try to make the hair look as nice as possible, add a few things in, take a few things away.
Very fortunate, it's the most listened to health podcast in Europe now, and I just love what I get to do these days, which is help inspire people, help to empower people, and basically say, listen, good health is not as hard as you think it is. We've massively overcomplicated it, and my goal with everything I do in public is to help simplify it.
I mean, that's incredible. First of all, I think that it's a hugely important topic to talk about. I think that, as you say, rightly disclaimed by not wanting to talk down on medicine. However, I do completely see how that we had a physiologist on the podcast a while ago, right back at the beginning, who talked really interestingly about the NHS and the way that it's obviously set up to fix things that are wrong rather than to make anything that's like okay get to great, which has really stuck with me. It's always stuck with me about the fact that we do have this mentality of kind of fixing, but we don't have this mentality of kind of prevention anywhere within our healthcare service. And obviously part of that is because
Okay, besties, we finally getting to this point. Stay with me. I decided I don't like the length of it, and I think it would just look better if I have my hair a bit shorter. And so you seeing me cutting my hair in layers, because I thought to myself, I think it would just suit me best if I do it in layers, and it came out really cute. But I think this decision was a good decision, even though I cut off hair that was really well, like it was such good quality at the time at least, and it was done properly, and so it almost felt like I was violating the hair because I did it really nicely. But like I said, I just think that the shorter hair suits me best. But for the girlies that obviously like a nice, sleek, moment, this will work for you as well. Either option works. But you see me just cutting it, and I wasn't as afraid as I thought I would be because I went straight into it. I did not wait. Bless you. But yeah, if you stick around, you'll see how it turned out because I'm really impressed with the results. Or I was really impressed with the results and just the skill level, man. The skills were skilling, and I don't know where it came from. So I'm really, really impressed with this. Okay, so do you guys see what I mean? I think the layers just works amazing with me. Also, something that I took away from this install, because this is my third time trying to do a quick weave on myself, the hair was so much more thicker. So when I cut the hair into layers, it had a nice flow to it. It was really nice. Like when I say I am so surprised by how it came out, is because just the hair was so thick. And here you'll see me go in with the straightener. That's why I kind of changed positions with the camera. But I just wanted to see how it will look like with bangs, or if I curl it with the curling iron, because the cut was pretty blunt. Even though I still liked it, my biggest intention was basically just seeing how the hair would be if it was in a bob or like around my chin area. That's kind of the inspiration that I was going for. But honestly, still the hair was so thick, it wasn't there was almost like just enough hair, you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it, but the hair had volume. It had volume, it had flavor. You can move around and it would bob, you know how a bob bobs. And so yeah, truly just really impressed with the way it came out for me and my skills, and being this my third time doing a quick weave. But yeah, here you just see me go in with the straightener and curling those ends to see how they will look like if they're actually in a bob structure, which is around my face. And voila! Obviously, this is what I meant with like curling it to kind of get the full picture of what I had in my mind. Honestly, the way I cut it was actually brilliant because you can easily make mistakes when cutting like layers or just cutting your hair in a bob. But the layers was actually layering, and I made so sure like both sides of the hair was almost like similar. I didn't want one side to be too high and the other side to be too low. I wanted both sides to be very symmetric to each other, and I actually did end up achieving that. I went in again just a bit to kind of make sure that it is exactly similar. But look at this is what I meant. The hair had so much body, like when I move there was exactly it's giving Barbiana. Like I was so impressed with the way it come out, and I can't stop emphasizing the fact that I was like, it actually worked. In my mind I was like, okay girl, it actually worked. Where did these skills come from? But the hair had so much body, it was so flowy, man. Like it just looked natural. Like with my skin, it made sense with my skin. And it just worked. But in the next few clips you'll see me go in again and try to cut the rest of the hair, because at first I wanted to keep the hair this way. I wanted to keep the hair a bit short in front and then long at the back, but I thought it was kind of an unbalance between how far up the bob was and how low the longer part was. And so yeah, I'm just going in with my stick, with like it's the stick that you use to kind of get the flyaways to lay down. It's not a glue stick, but it's like a form of I'll try to figure it out in the next clip or in the next recording. But I was just using it to flatten my hair down on top of my head, and the hair had so much body. I was really impressed with the way it came out. Yeah, man, it also looked really nice with my skin. It didn't clash. It didn't look, everything just came together very beautifully, and it was so flowy, and I was in my dreams. But anyways, eventually I do cut the lower parts, but yeah, let's continue this clip for now. Okay, so here I am now cutting the long part that I had originally planned to leave out, but I realized halfway it didn't kind of make sense to keep the long part this long, and I thought to myself, let me trim it down just a few bits, and also again in layers. As you can see, when I use the scissor, it's kind of in a downwards position, just to make sure those layers come out correctly. And also the stick that I use to flatten my hair is called a wax stick, and you can get it at your local beauty shop. I swear everything that I used for this hair, so cost worthy, so cost efficient. You don't need to do much. I'm just a college student. I don't have that much money, and so I try to do my best with what I have, and this was so affordable, especially if you are South African, you're a South African girl. Anyone can do this if I can do it. But here you just see me cutting it into layers, and look at that. Come on, man. Like every time like I tried something new, like I was like, this is actually it. And the hair really it was just cute. It was just giving cute. But the clip will keep on rolling, and then eventually it will come to an end, and now you'll see the end result of everything. Okay, so finally we have reached the end point of this entire hairstyle. It took me forever to do this. It took about 2 days, from cornrowing my own hair to putting in the hair at the back, and then starting from the scratch at the front to cutting it into layers, and then using my curling iron to shape it. But as I said before, the hair came out so well. Like it had so much body. I'm really impressed with this time, because this is my 3rd time that I've done a quick weave, and it's worth it. It's worth it. My skills, I'm actually surprised. As you can see, I still do have like a little bit of hair left out in the front. And I mentioned this in a previous audio. I mentioned this in a previous audio. I didn't know how to cover it, but I finally got through the end, and up next you will see me basically from the start where the hair was long all the way to the finish where I cut it into layers, and just it took a while, but I'm happy I recorded it. I'm happy that I actually did it, and it's cost friendly, it's budget friendly. Anyone can do it if I can do it. And that's it from me for now. I'm so happy that I actually went ahead and recorded this, because I keep on doing my own hairstyles and then no one ends up seeing it. But for now, that's it. Bye.